Does anybody remember eating good food at public school? This is a person that is recognizing how important nutrition is in the lives of our kids, and he's making amazing things happen with food in the public school system in Minneapolis. So that alone is super awesome. They source as much fresh produce from local farms as well as local products like baked goods and meats. Food education is part of what he does. They work with partners to provide hands-on opportunities for students to learn about food, nutrition, and agriculture. And community engagement is probably where his heart is most at, and that's why he's here at the Garlic Festival.
You want me to flip them?
He's going to make a taco. I think there's pork involved. I'm certain there's going to be some garlic in there somewhere.
Absolutely.
And what are you serving over at the Garlicscape Cafe?
So on the menu today in the Garlicscape Cafe, we have a Chilaquiles Rojos. So it's red sauce over tortilla chips and a braised chicken, Cajun parm.
Wonderful. Take it away, Mark.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, so so happy that you're here. You know, when I was, and you can keep chopping while I chatter away. I know when I was a little girl in elementary school, I remember seeing the lunch ladies around a big table of dough, making fresh rolls, and everything was cooked from scratch in the early 70s. It's so nice to see you bringing that back.
Right.
You know that had a great impact on me. They all looked like they were having a great time, and I remember the food being delicious. So that's a huge change.
It is a huge change, and it actually took a lot of effort, and it's still taking a lot of effort. The start over there with Bertrand Weber, who's the actual director of our program. I'm the chef for the program. He has a passion for food, just like any other chef would.
Right.
And that's the driving force behind it.
And Bertrand is with us in the back in the Great Scape. And so a little bit about what you made for the cafe. I know we had Katie Jen chicken, which donated. It's a great air-chilled chicken.
Absolutely.
It's available at co-ops in our area. And then those dried beans that are going to be a project with the extension coming up.
So we had a pinto bean and a cranberry bean, which will be garnished on top of the bowl.
Okay.
And then we also have, of course, garlic.
Yes.
The rojo sauce is actually basically like an enchilada sauce.
Okay. Great, great. So that sounds delicious, and I heard you have the recipe for that for me too.
We do.
Okay, so we'll share that in our collection of recipes. Recipes will be available after the festival. So what are we making here today?
So today, we're doing a fresh taco. And I brought my daughter, Gabrielle, with.
Thank you, Gabrielle.
She's my lovely assistant at home, and I thought I'd bring her with today as well. Right. So we're making fresh corn tortillas, which is very simple. Bag of masa, a little bit of water, and a simple press.
So the masa is, do you mind if I show?
Please do.
Sure. This is masa. You can get it in the grocery store in the flour aisle, and I love that flavor of it. It is dry corn, like you'd make cornmeal with, that is processed with lime. Then that's dried. That takes sort of the skin off the corn kernels, and it's dried and ground and turned into this flour. We were fooling around with doing our own straight from the corn that Greg grows, so we work on that.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Look forward to it.
Little hobbyist thing. So you've got some great fresh vegetables here.
So we're making a simple, it's basically like a Mexico City street taco. So we have a braised pork, which is seasoned with garlic, salt, pepper, annatto seed, and...
Tell me, what is annatto seed?
Oh, I'm gonna put me on the spot right now.
Well, annatto seed is a...
Well, go ahead.
Okay, sure. It's a little seed that has a bright yellow color to it.
Exactly.
It's often used with pork, so it gives it a rich color.
A rich color and a deep flavor.
And a deep flavor.
It has a natural bitterness to it, and it pairs well with the brighter flavors that are going to be part of the taco.
Right.
So on top of the taco, we're going to have the braised pork, and then a queso fresco, which is a fresh cheese. We're going to have red onion, fresh lime, and a tomatilla salsa, which is also going to be served at the Great Scape Cafe. The salsa is garlic, jalapenos, green chilies, and tomatillos. And I forget the farm, but obviously everything came from you folks. And we fire roasted everything at our central kitchen in Minneapolis. And ran it through the RoboCrew, the processor, and away we go.
So I see the little flecks of char in there.
Yes.
How would somebody do how would someone do roasted vegetables at home?
Very simple. If you
so
have
you got the whole tomatillo, you roasted the onion, garlic. Did you do all of those ingredients? Everything. All the chilies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And don't be afraid of the color. If you're doing a pepper, you want it on an open flame. If you have a gas stove, you can do it right on a gas flame. And just char the pepper until it's black.
Absolutely
The skin will
black,
blister.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then let it rest for a little bit, let it steam, and then the skin will peel right off.
So do you put it in a paper bag or put a towel over it or anything? So
You can put it in a bowl and wrap it.
Okay.
You can put it in a paper bag.
Cover it up.
Yeah, so long as it has time to steam and release the skin from the meat.
So then how do you get the blackened skin off of the chilies and things?
I prefer to start by hand, just peel
Just
off
by hand, yep.
But then you can also rinse if you need to,
I know,
help
don't
get
you
the
think
seeds
you
out.
lose a lot of flavor if you rinse it
You do. I
underwater?
prefer not to do it that way,
Right.
and that's why you have so many dark pieces in the sauce.
It's
You want some of that in
delicious.
there. Oh yeah, it's a caramel flavor or caramelized flavor that will just add richness to it.
Right, right. Okay, I love your knife skills. It's fun to watch a chef chop.
I'm making a mess.
Oh no, we'll clean that. So tell me about your braised pork. I'm going to take the lid off here
Right.
and see. Oh, and it smells.
So we
wonderful.
marinated the pork for 24 hours in the annatto.
Okay, and what kind of so you marinated it in just
Salt, pepper, garlic.
Okay.
I have some guajillo pepper in there, some
And
ancho
guajillo pepper is a dried chili.
Exactly, and I actually used a granulated version of it, so it's already prepped for you. So you can actually buy a bag where it's already dried, seeded, and chopped. And then just let it sit in the marinade and softens up. That's some of the prep.
Guajillo comes from poblano, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so a fresh poblano when it's allowed to turn completely red and then it's dried is a
Right.
guajillo. Okay.
Exactly. How we doing on the tortillas, hon?
Any other tortillas?
Jump in.
So do you want to talk about how you use a tortilla press?
Sure.
You want to bring this over here to the mirror?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you.
So it's interesting how quick and how simple this is. So the ingredients for a tortilla, and I know there's usually a recipe on the package.
Right.
But you maybe do a little variation to it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can season the masa any way you like.
Okay.
You can even add bits of guajillo if you would like to. I like them just straight and plain and add all the flavor on top.
Oh, that's interesting.
So real simple. So the masa's already mixed. Oh, you can't see? Is that better? Have the paper, please.
Better? Okay. We'll get this figured out.
Have the paper. Thank you. Wax paper, tortilla press, masa ball.
There you go. And you can pick up these tortilla presses at Hispanic groceries.
Any
They're
Hispanic grocery,
inexpensive.
I mean, even Cub Foods on occasion will have them.
You're right, Cub does have them.
Absolutely.
And so you press it until it's about 1/8 of an inch thick
Or less. even.
or less. Another ball.
Keep eating.
So I have seen, sometimes I've done this and I'll press the tortilla and I'll get cracks around the rim.
Right. It means it's a little dry.
So it means it's a little dry. So if you see that,
It's just like the perfect Play-Doh is what you're going for, right? The fresh can of Play-Doh when you open it.
that's really good.
Yes.
Oh, Jill, we've got a question. And please ask questions as we go
Is my
along.
mic still
We're
on?
very
Oh, good.
informal.
So, did you hear the question? Where was she?
I
I'm
did
sorry,
not.
right here. Here you go.
I was just wondering with the masa flour, is it the instant masa? Because now I've been noticing in the grocery stores that it's instant, and I haven't been luck with that. It's regular.
We can't hear her. But it was about.
She's wondering if it's instant masa flour.
instant masa flour. Yes, the bag does say
Thank you for asking
instant
the question.
masa.
Right. Just add water.
Right. It does say instant masa. That means just add water. That's because if you were going to make masa from scratch, you would start with basically hominy and grind it, and then so this is it's minimally processed, but it will always say instant. Was there a question?
Anyone else?
No.
Okay. Not everybody gets something if they ask a question, so.
So I know a lot of times you're using wax paper. I like to sometimes use a plastic bag just because it's a little more durable if I'm doing a bunch.
Right.
And
I do say.
yeah. And so then you just slit the black plastic bag and slide that into the tortilla press. And that, then it'll peel off and release very easily. So these are corn tortillas. What about flour tortillas? Do you have comments on them?
Flour tortillas serve a purpose. Great quesadillas. Kids love it.
Yeah.
I prefer the corn. I mean, it just adds a richness of flavor that you don't get from the flour tortilla.
I agree. So let's talk about your department. So
Yes.
right now, or a few days ago, nutrition was in the title. So you might get a little more nutrition from a corn tortilla than you would from a flour
Absolutely.
tortilla.
And speaking of nutrition in schools, it's a whole other animal. So
Right.
we have the federal regulations that we need to adhere to. There's maximums, there's minimums, maximum calories, but there's also minimum calories.
Minimum calories.
Yes, exactly. Maximum salt, fat, and protein minimums, grain minimums. So going back to the corn tortilla,
Right.
we actually have we're working on a corn tortilla right now with a local processor in town. Right now we're using whole grain flour tortillas,
Okay.
just to meet that requirement. And it doesn't always have the best texture or the best quality, but it's a requirement that we have to work with.
What a puzzle to put those menus together.
I call it a combination lot because you got to find the right mix to get a winning recipe and a winning menu. Kids really do want to eat, and that's the secret. Give them something that is new and fresh, but still hits the requirements.
Right.
But it's something that they're familiar with, flavor they're familiar with.
So I interrupted you when you were cutting that lime. You want to?
Oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, I sidetracked you.
You're doing good.
So a few days ago, nutrition was in your department's title, and that's changing to wellness.
Changing to wellness.
Talk about that. Why is that, and what brought that about, and what's the change?
Well, I think it just makes sense. So we're going for the nutrition focus on the meals and the food that we serve, in addition to the whole foods that we try to serve. We're not trying to serve, we're not trying to hide ingredients for kids. We're not trying to add vegetables to something that they wouldn't normally have vegetables as a part of.
I know.
So we're trying to serve
Spinach
vegetables.
brownies. I want my kids to grow up knowing that they like spinach. I don't need to hide the spinach in the brownie.
Thank you.
Yes,
Absolutely.
right.
So the whole wellness part, there's a lot of programs that the district is a part of. Ride Your Bike to School, and just certain focuses on health, sports teams, obviously all the athletes in school want to treat their bodies well, and it just made sense to include the wellness focus in our department.
So let's talk a little bit about sourcing. I was reading online about your sourcing and how not only are you sourcing local, sustainable foods, but you're looking at having a farm. Is that a pipe dream? Is that in the?
It's not a pipe dream. I mean, there have been discussion. I'm sure Bertrand would have more insight into that, but it's not a pipe dream at all. We're looking for a partner that will help us support an actual farm, an inner city farm. And the thing about Minneapolis Public Schools is they do have some property that they could designate for that farm. And we're just trying to put all the pieces together to create that.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating. I'm kind of excited just thinking about it.
So now, what are you doing with the lime? Is that?
So the lime's going to be the fresh finish on top of the taco. Traditional. It just adds that fresh pop.
Great. Well, let's talk about queso fresco. You say it's a fresh cheese. It has sort of a rubbery texture. But it's also milky, don't you think? And show them how it crumbles.
It crumbles very easily, actually. It's a fresh cheese. It's a little coarser grain. I'm getting your Bertrand right now.
Sausage comments.
Yeah.
So it crumbles nicely. It's not
crumbles very
something
nice.
you're going to grate.
And again, it's just another layer of flavor, another layer of texture when you're building a fresh taco.
I love how it's, bland has a negative connotation, but it's like a palate cleansing.
It is clean. Yeah, and it does have a creamy finish.
Right.
I think the texture kind of offsets some of that in the initial flavor.
Fat carries flavor. Great. So I think we are ready to have you show us about building
Okay.
a taco. Let's look at the pork. Oh, it does. It just smells delicious. So I interrupted you. You marinate this overnight.
We let it sit for 24 hours. Over
24 hours. Okay. And what cut of pork is this?
This is a shoulder. You can use a butt. I mean, any sort of
Okay.
pork that has a little fat to it.
Okay. So after it's marinated, then what happens to it?
Well, you have a few choices. For those of you who like the slow cooker at home, you can easily put it in the slow cooker and let it cook all day while you're at work.
It's a great use for a pork shoulder.
You can smoke it, get the extra layer of flavor in there if you want. Roast it in the oven, it's like a typical Sunday roast. This year I actually cooked covered for time purposes.
Sure.
Got a nice braise on the outside first, covered, and then put it in the oven.
So you brown it really well before you, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
It's almost a braise.
Okay. Excellent.
I'll make it real quick so we can
Sure.
see. And then we'll start.
We've got plenty of time.
Awesome.
And I think it's, I'm going to give this a little taste because it's just driving me crazy. It's delicious.
Dig in.
That's so good.
Awesome.
But something that I like to talk about cooking is that taste all the components as you go along, because if something doesn't taste great on its own, it's not going to taste great when you finish it. So you've got just a little pork in there.
So back to the tomatillo salsa. That's a nice tartness, brightness to it.
And we'll
little red onion.
Red onion,
Queso fresco.
cheese.
Some people like a radish. Very traditional. Street tacos in Mexico. And a fresh sprig of cilantro for the finish.
So sometimes when I've gotten tacos from a food truck or something, they'll have 2 tortillas.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
That's to help it. If you have a nice saucy braised meat over here, 2 of them will go a long way.
So then you eat it with the top one, and the stuff that falls off you eat with the second one?
Stop it off. Stop it off. That's what it's there for.
I like that. I like that. Oh, that's
Enjoy.
gorgeous. Thank you. Yeah, I'll have a bite. So tell me about the tacos that you have at the school food service. What are they like?
So the tacos we have, well, maybe I should start with the rojos. So this is actually a dish that we're going to be serving for lunch in our high schools, in our middle schools, and we're actually kind of excited about it. It's a new recipe. So it's a very similar version of the meat that you have here, just not as amped up a little bit, trying to control that sodium. But
Thank you.
the tacos use a very similar meat.
Okay.
We have a couple different versions. So we have a burrito bowl, we have a taco bowl. So we'll use a shredded turkey from John Peterson, Ferndale Market.
Okay.
Love his turkey products. He's a great partner of ours. We try and use his turkey for all sorts of shredding and dicing. We use it in chili, we use it in a burrito, we
What a
use it in a taco.
workhorse.
It is. It's very versatile protein to use. So we have a burrito, like I said. We have a black bean. We try and menu it different ways, so it's different flavors using similar ingredients, just to keep it fresh again in the menu rotation. The old-fashioned way was, pizza every Friday, tacos every Tuesday. Try and mix it up a little more every day. So we could have the taco 4 different ways in a cycle.
So, this morning I was in the prep kitchen across the street, and I saw some kids in there.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Well, just like my daughter,
You bring
kids
them
that
into
were
the
in there.
kitchen?
Yeah, so we brought our food truck as well, and it's not your traditional food truck. We actually prepare food for the truck, and then we serve as an option when the weather's nice for the high
At the
schools.
schools. Oh, at the high school. Oh,
So
cool.
we'll go there with the day's meal, the menu meal,
Yeah.
and then serve out of the truck. They are open campuses in the high school. And then the gal who drives it, her name is Rhonda, and the fellow helping her is Sean. Rhonda brought her children out. They've been helping her all summer long with her summer feeding program.
Yeah.
And then just spend the day with Mom, which is awesome. And feeding kids out of the truck.
So these kids are learning some kitchen skills.
Oh, absolutely.
Some
Absolutely.
real marketable kitchen skills.
And we try and do as much as possible. We're going to start developing some of these in class sessions. We don't have too many as we speak, but this summer Bertrand and I were part of a cooking camp for kids, 8 to 12 years old. Very fun.
Now, what does that look like? Where do you bring them in to?
That was at the Good Acre.
Okay.
So we use the space at the Good Acre.
So that feels like a commercial kitchen for them.
It is a commercial kitchen.
Yes.
It's very
But yet these
well,
are skills they can bring home too.
Exactly.
Okay.
And not one kid needed a Band-Aid. And they're all using knives just like this.
Real knives.
Absolutely. So we're working on recipes. We're helping them develop a recipe, giving them skills in the kitchen, and then we eat our hard work.
Excellent.
It was very fun.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks for having
I can't
me.
wait to
It's been a
finish
pleasure.
this.